Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Kakadash, Barak Thumb, to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Aqua, and I say Shalom. And this is a sit-down lesson of the prophecy updates as of April 24th, 2025 on a Thursday night. And this is a news article that we've been seeing the increasing relations been increasing between China, Russia, and Iran. And this is a news article as of April the 25th, 2025. It reads from Reuters from the Jerusalem Post. It says China, Russia, Iran jointly discuss Iran's nuclear program, what the IEA reports. It says China, Russia, and Iran jointly meet with the International Atomic Energy, the IEA, to discuss Iran's nuclear program, China's state news agency says on Friday. The joint meeting on Thursday between the IEA representatives and the nuclear agency's director general came after Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi visit Beijing this week. The meeting had an in-depth communication on the IEA's role in the political and diplomatic settlement process of the Iranian nuclear program, with China expressing support for Iran's dialogue with all parties, including what the United States says. Even if they do have some dialogue with all other countries and the United States, but that's still going to build Iran's nuclear program. And we still going to have that alliance between China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. The ongoing tension that they have towards the West and towards the Israel Defense Force as well too, especially particularly Iran versus Israel and the pro-Iran group going against the Israel Defense Force. And this is another news article. It says another news article, Jerusalem Post. It says published by Laureen Harania as of April 25th, 2025. The last update, April 25th, 2025 reads. It says the Houthis claim U.S. conduct airstrikes across Yemen, including the Sanaa Hudaydah. It says the U.S. Air Force conducted airstrikes. It says the U.S. Air Force conduct airstrikes across the Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. On Thursday night, the Houthi-owned Al-Marasha TV reported the areas of the Houthi groups claimed were swept, including in Sanaa Hudaydah and the Amran and Ma'arat governorates. It's the book of Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, there shall be signs in the sun and the moon and the stars upon the earth. Discretion of nations will perplexity of Israel. Right, because you still got the pro-Iranian groups going against the Israel Defense Force throughout the Red Sea, throughout those areas, cross-border areas heating up between those nations. But you still got the Houthi rebels, was a pro-Iranian group, continue to use on and off, back and forth missile attacks against the Israel Defense Force, and the Israel Defense Force doing that towards the Houthi rebels as well too. And the United States Army is going against the Houthi rebels, that pro-Iranian group, and these increasing seditions and uprisings and uproars in the world, and nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and increasing wars and rumors of wars, which we're going to continue to see increasing. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3, and verse 8. And a time to love, and a time of HATE, and a time of war, and a time of peace. Right, we're definitely in a time of war, of more increasing nation against nation, kingdom against kingdoms, and modern day wars and rumors of wars. And the modern day HATE, which that leads up to more lawlessness, iniquities, and seditions, and nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. It's the book of St. Mark, chapter 3, and verse 24. And if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. Right, despite the fact that the United States and Iran having these nuclear talks to de-escalate tensions, potentially de-escalate the nuclear program, but that's still not going to stop Iran from building up their nuclear capability. Despite the fact they've been having dialogues with them to de-escalate the nuclear program and to de-escalate the tensions, but we're still going to see the tensions are increasing between Iran and the Israel Defense Force. It says, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. Right, we're seeing kingdoms being divided against China and the United States over these latest economic trade wars. St. Mark chapter 3 verse 25, and if a house be divided against itself, which cannot stand. Right, so modern day house being divided, which cannot stand. That is what we're seeing. And the modern day kingdoms being divided against itself, which cannot stand. Even though it's on and off, back and forth. Even if it's at balance scale, we're going to see more significant signs of that, and that's what we're seeing. And this is the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Iran versus Israel Defense Force, and the Houthi rebels going against the Israel Defense Force and the United States Army. So those are signs of wars and rumors of wars, and the Russia-Ukraine situation as well, too. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Seeing that you be not in trouble for all these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. Why? So it's going to come to pass, but not going to end yet. Matthew 24, verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, right? Nation against nation. Iran versus Israel. The pro-Iran is going against the Israel Defense Force, the United States Army, like I mentioned before. Russia-Ukraine situation as well, too. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, right? And all these other nuclear escalations are heating up between the nations. That leads up to more of the seditions and the uprisings and the uproars with the world, and nation against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there should be famines, right? We see these modern famines and pestilence, right? This measles outbreak, cholera outbreak, mpox outbreak, and more different variants of pestilence and famines and earthquakes and other places. They're going to be seeing more and more. And this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 9, and verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars in the world, while some more increasing earthquakes and uproars in the world, that's what we see in our world today. 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, and verse 15. It says, for the sword that destruction draweth nigh, one who should stand and fight against another with swords in hands. Right, the resistance of the Palestinians going against the Israel Defense Force that's ramping up and increasing throughout the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, Palestinian territory, and throughout the whole region of Western Asia. It says, for the sword that destruction draweth nigh, one people should stand up and fight against another with swords in hand. Right, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. 2nd Esdras 15, verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. Right, the India and Pakistan situation was they continue to have diplomatic ties between one of them. After that incident happened occurred a couple of days ago, after those tourists got deleted by an unknown attacker that claimed the lives of 27 people, if I'm not mistaken. But ever since then, tensions been rising between the cross-border between the nations of India and Pakistan. You've been seeing protests and seditions ever since then. And, they've been having swaying away diplomatic ties from one another. But ever since then, those tensions have been stirring up between those two nations. They cross-border tensions between those two nations. So that leads into seditions, uprisings, uproars in the world, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. And we're seeing that different parts around the world as well, too. It says, for there should be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or their princes in the course of actions native power. Right, so the citizens rise up against their leaders in power and protest. And that's what we're seeing. And that was that one missing link that solves everything. No matter how inconsequential it seems. Right, because he is inconsequential. Yeah. Now, the last time he was spotted, he was holding another man's hand. Have you come across criminals in the past that sort of repeat similar crimes? I feel like, especially if you're defining content, right? I don't think that you're going to change very much. I think that if you're starting that young of an age, that's going to be a part of who you are for a long time. It says a polio virus detected in Jerusalem area. Right, that's pestilence. And 2nd Esdras 15, verse 5. I believe it was here in Illinois we had our first reported case of the cholera outbreak. The measles outbreak. So let's get into that second address, 15 verse 5. Yep, this is a second address, chapter 15 verse 5. It says, Behold, saith Yahweh, that I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, and destruction. Right, so we see these modern day plagues, especially with this latest measles outbreak that been taking place in India, Illinois, Texas, in different parts of the United States. We've been seeing 25 cases of 800 cases in 25 states been increasing of this measles outbreak. So we're going to be seeing these modern day plagues, modern day famine, modern day DEATH, and the disruption as well too. And that's from the visitation from Heavenly Father, Yahweh Himself. As I mentioned that before. It says a Russian security official says Moscow has a right to use nuclear weapons if attacked by the West. Right, so this is another sign of wars and rumors of wars. As we've been seeing, tensions been heating up between Russia and NATO, Russia versus the Western countries as well too, of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine situation as well too. And that definitely goes into that Ezekiel 38 verse 4. As I add a side note to that, this is a news article from Reuters as of April 24th, 2025. It reads, it says, Russia security official says Moscow has a right to use nuclear weapons if attacked by the West, the TASA reports. Russian Reserve has the right to use nuclear weapons in the event it faces aggression by the Western countries. Moscow top security official Sergei Shoigu was quoted saying, by the TASS state news agency on Thursday. Shoigu cited amendments made last year to Russia's nuclear doctrine that allows to use nuclear weapons in the event Russia or its neighbor and ally are attacked, including by conventional weapons. The first suspect robs the woman and then returns, forcing a gun into the man's stomach. Fearing for his life, he backs down as they take his watch and appear to empty his pockets. Police have identified one of the suspects as Sitdown, a black male, 20 years old. Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 4. It says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I will bring thee forth in all thy armor, horse and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, and gripping above the shields, all of them swords. Right, so the Heavenly Father is going to continue to put the hooks back to the jaws of the Russians to be in their warlike mindset. As we seen Russia and Belarus signed that nuclear deal and a treaty deal just in case they come under enemy attack from the Western countries and from NATO as well too. While they have the ongoing Russia-Ukraine situation is still taking place. So that's another sign right there. Russia still going to be in that warlike mindset because they represents the bear in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. And this is the prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Right, as we're seeing over there in Western Asia and different parts around the world of these nuclear escalations or tensions are heating up. So this is definitely being proclaimed among the Gentiles of the armies of nations to be in that warlike mindset. So we're seeing signs of that. That's only going to continue to increase. Joel chapter 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and swords and plenty hooks and spears. You got the weak side strong. Right, so you're going to have the pro-Iranian groups throughout that region over there in Western Asia going against the IDF in that area. So we're going to see more signs of that. And these nations that got nuclear capability and let the weak side strong. This is Revelations 11 verse 14. Then I'm going to close it out with that. This is Revelations 11 verse 14. The second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. The second will discretion can it pass, now the third will discretion come quickly. So with that, hopefully this quick sit down lesson was edifying of the prophecy updates as of April the 24th, 2025 on this Thursday night. So hopefully this was edifying. And with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Bahashem, and the name of Mashiach Yahushua. Those are their true names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, the last one Kadash of the tongue. I say Barak to your elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Wa'akwa. Until next time, I will say Shalom. 2020, they started to see an uptick in drug-related deaths. We really saw methamphetamine hit the streets here in Brunswick.